In this video, we'll break down the role of this component in a system and show you how it works. The transformer is responsible for converting the high voltage supplied to the system, typically 120 or 240 volts, to a much safer low voltage. This low voltage, typically 24 volts, is used to power the system's control systems and components. Transformers that convert high voltage to low voltage are referred to as step-down transformers. Unlike mechanical parts, a transformer is made up of an iron core, coil bobbin, primary winding, and secondary winding. Simple yet powerful components that create the necessary voltage transformation. When the transformer receives an AC line voltage signal at its primary winding, current flows through the winding and a magnetic field is generated around it. The iron core directs this magnetic field toward the secondary winding, efficiently channeling energy between the windings. As the magnetic field moves into the secondary winding, it generates a current through a process called electromagnetic induction. The precise ratio of turns in each coil steps down the voltage from line voltage to a safe 24 volts, which then powers essential components like the thermostat, control board, components, and safety circuits. For example, a transformer that converts 240 volts to 24 volts operates with a turn ratio of 10:1. The ratio of the number of turns in the primary winding as compared to the number of turns in the secondary winding determines the ratio of the primary winding's voltage to the secondary winding's voltage. The transformer efficiently converts high voltage to low voltage, powering your system safely and isolating high voltage circuits from low voltage controls. Thanks for watching. We hope this video gave you a deeper understanding of how a transformer works to keep your system running safely and efficiently.
Well, what's going on, everyone? We're so glad that you joined us today on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. I know, Andrew, isn't that cool, man? We're actually going to dive into some of that today, and we want to make sure that everyone lets us know where you're joining from. Brian, hey, glad to have you here, man. Yeah, we are, absolutely. You know, we're constantly bringing things that are changing our industry and evolving, because just like the world around us is just, flying by like crazy, we want to make sure that whatever's happening, we bring to you. So whether you're an educator, you're a contractor, a student, a technician, you're going to see the things that are happening around you as fast as we can get them to you. We're going to be expanding here very shortly. We'll tell you more about that. That's right. I'm so glad to have Dirk here with us, Ahmed. Dirk, man. All right. So I've got a lot going on. I got a class coming up. I'm going to be diving into transformers, and like every educator, I got to make some usable components for the classroom, right? Mm-hmm. My favorite thing to do in the classroom is just tear stuff apart so I can put it in people's hands and go, all right, this is how it's made. Because I know I'm a visual learner, right? If I can see it, if I can work with it, if I can get my hands on that sucker, if I can take things apart and I can put things back together, yeah, I might tear it up for a while, but I'm going to figure that sucker out over time, right? I think that's what a lot of us as contractors, as technicians, especially educators, we do, right?
Absolutely.
Just hands-on, natural,
right? Hands-on.
We're hands-on. All right. So this is how I have built a lot of my theory classes in the past, right? So I'll grab some components, tear them apart, live them up, right? Tell everyone, hey, you touch this, you're going to pee your pants. Don't touch that. We're working with live stuff here, so be careful, right? You can touch, you can maybe touch this side. Don't touch this side. Definitely don't touch it up here.
You can do the taste test on the right.
Yeah, hold on here. Let's see what we got here. And so a lot of us, that's how we build our classrooms. Osvaldo, hey, you're going to love this, man. Osvaldo, I know you're joining us from Belize. You're like dedicated to the show. We're going to show you some a different style of learning that is a way that you can learn this all over the world. And I think a lot of educators are going to appreciate this. A lot of students and technicians are going to go, what? This is things that we can have for our own learning. So the reason I want to start here is because this is familiar, right? This is familiar to most people. And anytime we teach new technologies or new innovations, I think it's very important to show where they came from. Okay. So we all spend a lot of time tearing things apart, making things better. But if you could tell by that video that came about, we're going to start showing you some different ways to look at this stuff today. Dirk, I am so grateful to have gotten to know you over these last few years. A couple of years ago, for those of you that don't know Dirk is like the man in the industry. Technician, educator, technical support advisor, equipment nerd, Measure Quick trainer, couple different businesses. Hey, Katie, thanks for joining us. Well, a couple of years ago, Dirk was talking about something that he wanted to dive deeper into. He wanted a better way to be able to use those parts and pieces and be able to explain them in the class and bring it into modern technology, right? So he's like, I think I'm going to start 3D scanning stuff.
That was a flop.
It was like, I'm going to start putting some 3D animations, files together. We're going to look at that. But he's on the right track, right? And so a couple years later, yeah, you're right, Ahmed, Dirk is the boss. A couple years later, Dirk came to us at ESCO with another idea. Hey, Tom, glad that you're joining us today. And so Dirk is like, all right, I got something, and it's in development. I've gotten a really good way through this, and I think this fits ESCO. And we were all like, oh, yeah, this fits ESCO. Dirk, tell us a little bit about your background and like how you got to this point, and then we're going to share with everybody exactly what I'm sitting here yakking about.
Yeah, so I've been in the education side of the business for 8 years, and I was hired in at HVACR, and I still work at HVACR, and I had to give training. So as tech support, I was the guy who could solve problems in the field,
Right?
And therefore, it's a misconception that if you're good in the field, therefore it's got to be easy to teach. And so my first training I did, it was so horrible. It was bad. It was bad. It's so bad. I was wondering whether or not I was going to have a job the next day. It was that bad. So I went on this quest, how to educate, how to be a trainer. And so the first book I want to mention is Daniel Bixby. So Clifton, if you have that up, if you ever think about getting into education, you're a technician and you want to come into the classroom, I highly recommend this book here. It's by Daniel Bixby, the product training for the service expert. Is that correct? Product training for the technical expert. There you go. Awesome book. So that was how the quest began. And I started developing the skills, getting better in the classroom. And then I got to the point as like, all right, it has to get to the next level. The technicians, I'm getting the tech support calls, and I'm just like, how is it that they don't know these fundamental concepts? So hence HVAC Simulator. HVAC Simulator was formed, and I'm staying on the fundamentals level. We created stuff, and I'm just focusing on the fundamentals. And I believe, this is my belief, but going back to your transformer analogy that you had, the hands-on is overrated in the industry. If you have a job and you're working every day getting paid, you get paid 40 hours a week to be hands-on. It's important in the classroom, in trade schools, you get the hands-on. I don't want to minimize the hands-on, but I think it's overrated, my belief. So I wanted to get into the theory more, understand, to have a
how things are made,
to get into the theory and understand the theory behind the HVAC science. And so that's what I'm focusing on, and just fell in love with seeing the light bulb that goes off. I'm looking behind your head. Is that a light bulb there, Clifton, that's hanging down? Oh, no, no, you don't have enough hair to have it still. But no, I started seeing the light bulb go off on these students, technicians sitting in the classroom, and I just fell in love with educating, and it is my passion. And so I started developing curriculum, and I'm just like, and ESCO does the publishing of our books. Your executive director says, we can't print this because you still pictures off of the internet, stole or used pictures off the internet. And I think a lot of people do that, but yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
it was, against the law.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I see our stuff all over the place. I'm like, I know where that came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, so therefore, and rightfully so, we
Mhm.
shouldn't be doing that. And I learned that lesson. And so, like the photo box, getting the lighting, I'm just like, this is a pain. There's got to be a better way.
Oh yeah.
And so, and then when I started getting into 3D modeling, had a tutor and got another tutor, and after a year and a half, I had this vision. I did not know how I was going to get there. And so, I asked my business partner, Saeed, if he wanted to go in business together. And so, hence Visual 3D Academy. And how we got here, I mean, there's probably about 8 people. If I add everyone that's involved in this one way or another, there's about 8 people involved right now. There's a core, but it's
Right.
it's insane where it's going to go. You saw the video. That is a visual 3D of that transformer on there, but it's we got some really, really grandiose ideas for the education, and it's affordable. That's the one goal that I want to make this whole company about. It's people oriented, and it's affordable to everyone, and we can hit the underserved communities, the underserved market. And we're finding ways to be able to do that. There's a lot of other great training programs out there. I always look to see what else is out there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to spin it 180 degrees. And, I'm always trying to create things where there's no competition. So makes business a little bit easier.
Yeah, make something very different, very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Kidding? That's like my thing. Like, I'm going to show up in a clown costume to this conference, right? I'm not walking in with regular clothes. We're going to do something so different. Leprechaun, there's all sorts of... Yeah, you have to do something outside of the mold to be able to make a statement, to make a difference on something. And that's exactly what you've done. So, all right. So that was kind of like the teaser of where this all came from. That preview video, a lot of people didn't show until as we got into that. So let's do a little discussion. Let's do a little demonstration on what you're actually doing. So if we were to take, right, let me go back real quick and let me share my transformer. So if we were to take a transformer, right, it takes a little bit of time. You could actually grind off some of it's usually rivets. This particular one is completely laminated, but a lot of times you can find the rivetable stacks, and you can remove stack plates, and you can disassemble a component. But when we start looking at, that's exactly what we're talking about, Brian, right? So we're taking out some of the whole scary behind things and showing you how something actually works and removing some of the electrical from it. Which one do we want to start with? Do we want to go into that video on your newest one, or we want to dive into
No, let's stick with the transformer.
All right.
Let's stick with the transformer. So what's the goal of that transformer? If you're in the classroom teaching, what's your goal on this transformer?
Is to show how we change voltage without really physically touching it.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea is, do you need to know the internal workings of a transformer in order to diagnose it correctly? You do not. You do not.
But it helps.
There's many successful technicians that have never seen the inside of a transformer. But if we can put a visual behind of what's actually happening inside and how it is happening, it's going to get embedded into memory much easier with these awesome graphics that you're going to see. So we're just taking, I believe in the Neil Fleming VARK, V-A-R-K learning model, visual, audio, reading, writing, and kinesthetics. Those are the 4 methods how humans learn. And the kinesthetics, if you say that, I learn best hands-on, that's probably true. It is true. But we have to use the other, visual, the audio, the reading and writing to get to that next level. If it's just hands-on, you're going to be a mechanic. And this is one thing that I've been preaching for many, many years. There's a difference between a technician and a mechanic. So back to this transformer, what's the goals? How does it work internally? How would you explain that? You have to get up there, whiteboard, draw lines, and show arrows, the magnetic field, the induction, and then, how to service. You have to get the meter out. But what if we could create a way where a video, audio where they could actually see it first, and then when they put their meters on, it clicks that much quicker. And you only have to explain it one time as an instructor, and therefore it's going to give you more time to get to the high level points in your education, and we can advance these students much quicker.
Absolutely, which we're going to have to. We have not just a up and coming generation of technicians to educate. We have our existing workforce that's going to be learning new technologies and new tools at a very rapid pace. So getting the information out faster is going to be the key.
Yeah. So can I share my screen?
Let's do that. Let's share the screen, and we'll come back and have some other videos that we'll discuss in the same time, in the same conversation. Okay.
So put a plug in. So this is, let me go to the home page. Maybe. So everybody who's watching, go to the free trial. Register for a free trial. We'll give you 30 days to play around with it. We do have a special, and let's back up actually. This is a partnership with ESCO Institute and HVAC Simulator. So with that, Clifton's been seeing what I've been doing since day one. And, I've been getting his feedback, and, he has been part of how this has been developed, and the encouragement, hey, this is really good. This is awesome. Yes, you're nailing it. So it's just the motivation to keep going forward with it. So if we go to the dashboard,
okay, we're going to start on an indoor unit. And for everyone that's seen this,
is kind of messed up right now. We have a software release out there, and we've slashed prices down. We'll go back to the page to look at it, but
sure.
The transformer. And we're going to have this all up and ready for the school year in August.
Yep.
So right now it's pulling from the cloud. If your internet is slow at your school, it's okay. We're going to have an encrypted file that you'll be able to download. And my router, actually, whenever I'm doing a video podcast, all the juice goes to
everything's getting fed to camera right now, so it's taking a little bit longer.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good statement to make.
On my internet, this usually takes about 7 seconds.
Sure.
So description, and then what we can do is we can just take a look at the transformer, look at it. We can take the pins off, and we can start talking about the pieces and
we're getting there.
And so, but yeah, so it's how is it made? How does it work? What are the pieces and parts in there? I mean, you can talk about the coil windings in the transformer you had, they were actually kind of exposed there. Some of them are, are not exposed at all.
Yeah. And, no, it took me work to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
But some of them, the windings are exposed.
Yeah.
And so with this is they can play around with this. And then there are some other features in there if you want to hit the transparency. If you want to see how, why is my gallery on? Transparency. How come you're not working? There we go. So we can, toggle through the pins, and you can see the transparency, visibility, same way. If you can just want to select certain parts of it. There was a bug we discovered in there. We're going to have a part tree, model tree over here. Yeah, so you can see all the parts, because in order to go back to visibility, you have to actually turn it off and then go back in. So we're going to have a model tree over here where you can click on them. There'll be an eyeball so you can see the visibility and whatnot. So, and this is feedback we're getting from the industry on this.
Yeah,
I found my problem. I'm looking at this screen, clicking on this screen. I need to be on this screen.
Okay. One of the things that I had seen on here too that was added in that I wanted to make a point for, that new export image button, right?
Yes.
So like if I'm an educator and I'm working on one of these components and I want to be able to do an assessment, like, all right, we're going to discuss a particular part. Here's where it is at. I can actually use that as part of my curriculum for that next stage now.
Yeah, people are going to be mad at me now. This is going to be part of the paid feature for curriculum writers.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
This isn't going to be for, there's going to be a padlock, or this is going to be hidden. We'll toggle it on. But yes, you can export 8K images out of this with a transparent background on there. Hence the whole reason why I got into 3D modeling, so I didn't have to do the photo box on it. So, but yes, there is a export on there. That's not going to be available for everybody. It's going to be for, curriculum writers.
Yeah. Well, I noticed it on there. I was thinking, man, that's pretty handy when you're looking for high quality, component, photos to be able to use in your curriculum. One of the questions just came in, Tom. No, Tom, that's not a function that is here, but I think you might be adding a new potential thing for down the road. Because remember, this is all in development. This is something that is going to be able to be integrated in a variety of different curriculums. So don't be surprised for all of these components to start showing up in different applications, even here at ESCO, right? Because we've got our eyeballs on things going, what other ways can we use this content for educational curriculum? I mean, it's endless. Like when you start looking at how we can maneuver these things for education.
Yeah. And in August, we'll have the whole furnace. Then you can dissect the furnace piece by piece. So I started modeling just the parts individually. Right. And then, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, we pumped the brakes on, and now we're going backwards in it, and we are creating the whole unit. So we're pretty much kind of starting over from scratch. But that's what is needed. But you mentioned the curriculum.
Yeah.
This is being designed to be interjected into any curriculum. This is not curriculum based. Will it go curriculum based? It can. But again, the idea is for the instructor to use this on the overhead. And then there's videos. So you start out with the how it works video there. And then we have, how to service. So every part is going to, can you hear this?
No. That's probably the one that that's the service one. I may try to download and grab that one. That might not be a bad idea. If you get a chance, maybe we end up throwing that in the Vimeo, or if you throw the link in the chat, and I'll see if I can't download and throw that in there.
Give me 1 second. Why I do that? So 2 videos, how it service and how it works on every part, and you'll see how the service. But all right, so this is all fine and dandy, but there is a problem in the industry with the students and this younger generation is that they love these things more than computers.
Yeah. No, let's go there. Yeah.
So I don't get me wrong. I enjoy my phone, but I'm a computer guy. That's not the new generation. There's nothing wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. And so we had to design this. How is this beneficial for the technicians or the
different types of delivery?
So I'm gonna go to Vimeo while you take this.
So Josh, so what we're actually going to do, so we're showing the educator side, and you remember this is a 2-part style curriculum. We always talk about how do we deliver content to multi-generations, because the concepts are the same, but the way we deliver sometimes has to be catered for different learners. Okay, so it gets so much deeper than this. That's why it's going to take probably this whole hour to get through all of this stuff. So where we're going to make a little transition here where we're going to download that and we'll come back to it. So let's think about what Dirk just mentioned, right? What if I am that student? What if I'm a technician and I'm wanting to understand this better? I may not even have a PC, but I've absolutely got my mobile device. So let's take this exact same concept, same components, right? And re-deliver them into a different context. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on over real quick, and we're going to look at this from a mobile perspective. You tell me if you want me to stop this anywhere along the way. I think you might even.
No, I'll talk. Did you get that Vimeo link?
Yeah, I'll go grab that and get that uploaded while you're.
So what we're doing on the app is we're going to show a limit switch here, and you can rotate, scale, and reposition the limit switch here. So with the app, it does not have as much power. We can't move the individual parts, so that streamlines the play button to where you can break it apart. But it has the toggle pins on there. The book icon up on the top left is engaged, so therefore it's going to give you a description of it. That's the transparency button I was playing with. But then there is this augmented reality feature. Now I can put it on my Surface. This is the desk I'm sitting at right now. And, so we have this augmented reality feature. And then you're going to see that we can actually have it in books. We can actually go to books, images and books, and you see this is a piece of paper. I'll get a blue arrow. It found that, hey, I'm a limit switch. As long as it's in our library, then we can pull it up. You don't have to go searching for it. And there's my cat that needs to be in everything. And so with that, we scan it from a book, and now we placed it on the surface. So there's this AI feature that we're going to be integrating. We've been playing around with, and the AI feature, it doesn't matter. You can be standing in front of the furnace, and if it can see the part, it will recognize it. And so the whole Tony Stark's Iron Man, remember Tony Stark is doing this. We are getting closer and closer to being able to do that.
So think about that from a technician, like in the field. We can actually look at a component and go, okay, I know what this is. I'm not sure I remember exactly how this was constructed. And I got a dark spot right here on this piece. What's underneath this cover? Oh, there's a coil there. Oh, if that coil's burnt, now I know where part of my failure is.
Yeah, and so we're doing the first one we're doing with the whole furnace, and as I talked about, is the 60% furnace is what we're modeling right now. And the reason being is we're trying to get the process down, but there's less components in that.
Exactly.
But how many technicians, and I get this called quite often as a tech support guy, how many technicians coming into the field know how a fan limit switch works? So now this can serve as a educational tool in the field where, you watch a simple video, you explain it and they get it like that. But they just, it's antiquated, components that aren't used anymore, but they're still out there. And
absolutely.
So watch a quick 2-minute video, see how it works, and then it clicks.
I need to throw, what address are we sending them to for that free trial, Dirk?
Visual3dacademy.com.
Okay, let me throw this in here real quick. I just had one pop up.
HVAC Simulator.com on the other one. I don't know if the simulator and Visual 3D are two different companies. They're both me. Just reach out and reach out in any of them. I'll get the message.
Okay. So yeah, I'll put that link back out here. Just so we make sure that everyone has. Yeah, well, and so that's one of the important things when we look at that path of flow. Let me go back. I think it's worthwhile to do the intro again, because I imagine a lot of people miss that intro. We're going to hop over there real quick so you can rewatch that video. It's a couple minutes, but it is one of the videos when we're talking about that. Well, here, this is a perfect example. All right, so say
how to service video.
Which one?
How to service. The second link in the video.
Oh, it's not pulling up. Let me try it again real quick while we're waiting.
Hang on here. Let me hang on. Here. I can fix that.
Okay. While we're doing that, the chat and all should stay good for us. I'm gonna go play that intro video for everyone.
You're good. You can play it now.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me go grab that.
I had to change it from Vimeo to public.
Oh, yep. That's exactly what it is. All right. So I'll have to download it and then upload it first, but that won't take too long. Where's the download?
I can't believe Restream doesn't have a means to share sound.
Yeah. Yep. You know what? Let me put it up as a separate screen. Can you try playing yours from a third screen and share it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me exit this
screen, Vimeo, share.
We'll try it. We'll see if the audio comes through on this one. We'll bring that up full screen.
Working? Is it working?
No. All right, I will have to download that. All right, so what we're going to do while we're getting that one done, I'll go back and I'll play that intro one with the with our transformer. Yeah, and so that'll give you an idea. So like if we're teaching on this transformer, right, and we're wanting to discuss flow, we're wanting to discuss how our power is applied to those. That's really what these videos do. So I'm going to play that one, and I'll see you all here in about 2 minutes, and I'll see if I can't get that other one downloaded in the process.
Welcome to this Visual 3D Academy video on transformers. In this video, we'll break down the role of this component in a system and show you how it works. The transformer is responsible for converting the high voltage supply to the system, typically 120 or 240 volts, to a much safer low voltage. This low voltage, typically 24 volts, is used to power the system's control systems and components. Transformers that convert high voltage to low voltage are referred to as step-down transformers. Unlike mechanical parts, a transformer is made up of an iron core, coil bobbin, primary winding, and secondary winding. Simple yet powerful components that create the necessary voltage transformation. When the transformer receives an AC line voltage signal at its primary winding, current flows through the winding and a magnetic field is generated around it. The iron core directs this magnetic field toward the secondary winding, efficiently channeling energy between the windings. As the magnetic field moves into the secondary winding, it generates a current through a process called electromagnetic induction. The precise ratio of turns in each coil steps down the voltage from line voltage to a safe 24 volts, which then powers essential components like the thermostat, control board, components, and safety circuits. For example, a transformer that converts 240 volts to 24 volts operates with a turn ratio of 10:1. The ratio of the number of turns in the primary winding as compared to the number of turns in the secondary winding determines the ratio of the primary winding's voltage to the secondary winding's voltage. The transformer efficiently converts high voltage to low voltage, powering your system safely and isolating high voltage circuits from low voltage controls. Thanks for watching. We hope this video gave you a deeper understanding of how a transformer works to keep your system running safely and efficiently.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
Clifton, if there is a download.
Yeah, for some reason it's not allowing a download on that one. I'm not sure what the story is.
Oh, well.
I'll work on that though, and I'll come back to it. So let's talk about another one too. Let's go ahead and do the one video. Anybody have any questions while we're here? This is a great point to get some input from anyone.
And your input is crucial, the instructors. If you see things wrong, please let us know. Share your example. We're allowed to call out people's names, right?
Sure, absolutely. I can always edit out later if they don't want it.
Eric Kaiser called me out. He's like, hey, that's not how flame rectification works. The flame rectification goes backwards. So when I did the video, I had the flame rectification going through the flame to the heat exchanger. And Eric Kaiser said, no, dude, it goes back to the burners. I didn't know that. And then I started talking to some other people, and obviously it makes sense. It's the shortest path from the flame sensor to, but so I absolutely make mistakes. This is a company where I want people's feedback, and you will, if it's wrong, we're going to give you credit for it, and we're going to make things correct on it. But yeah, it's fun. We're having fun with this.
Absolutely. That's the point of it. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to play that. We may not have audio, but I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share, and I'll play that service video, and then that way we can discuss it along the way without any.
And everybody has access. Oop, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Nah, it's not.
All right.
Playing.
No, I haven't started yet.
Oh,
I got to get to the button. There we go. Let me hide that.
I don't think it's playing.
Well, you silly bird. There we go.
So there's no sound, so we'll talk over it. But everyone has access to this. All you have to do is go to the free trial, fill it out, and then you can play around with it. So, but yeah, so how to service video. And we're going to ask Tony Gonzalez to, close his eyes here shortly and here in a little bit. How do you service a transformer? We check it with, voltage. So that's the secondary side. The primary side's on. And the new videos, since we're doing parts by parts at first, the new videos are going to have it actually sitting in the furnace. this is what's going to be coming out in August, and this is what we're working on. And then the other way to check is by resistance. I think it's going to check and see if you catch this mistake. You can hear this, right, Clifton? Or do you have it muted? There's a mistake.
It's so loud in my ear, and I can't control the volume. I'm actually listening to the movie, so you're just having fun right now.
There's a mistake in
content.
There's a mistake in this, and writing the script for these and lining the script up. And here's the problem. It's like when you were in elementary school and you had to go back and check your math homework. You wrote 2 + 2 is equal to 5. In your brain, 2 + 2 = 5 makes sense. And when you have to go check your math, you won't catch your mistake, but everyone else in the classroom will catch your mistake because it's a mental thing. You wrote it, therefore your brain thinks it's right. So writing these scripts, this is probably one of the hardest things, is because it makes sense to me. And when I make a mistake on it, I don't catch it. It's hard to catch. And we don't have enough subject matter experts on this. I'm the subject matter expert. Hey, Tony. And
I bet I know what company wants to work with you next.
But with that is that, I make mistakes. It's, if you see one, please let us know. We'll fix it. And we want this to be, a partnership with everybody. We're making this affordable for everybody. If you go on the webpage, there is a early bird adopter. You can get this for your whole classroom for under $1,000 if you're under 30 students. And if you just want to do a trial with it, it's $99, and it's going to go to August of 2026. And then afterwards, we're going to be the price for up to 30 license going to be $2,500. And who knows what's going to come after this and what we're going to do with it. But we're exploring, like I said, the Apple Vision. And the way we created these models is they will just naturally integrate right into Apple Vision. So there's not going to be any work, but Apple Vision, the goggles do cost like $4,000. Oh, reverse polarity. Oh my goodness. If you ever have an issue with reverse polarity, for years, I didn't know how to check this. I did not know how to check this. So with this, therefore, it got in, because I think this is one of the crucial points service technicians need to know on it, that your transformer has to be in sync with your line voltage. When I saw reverse polarity, went up, switched to 2 wires, and I left. So when I was in the field. But
yeah, I agree. Well, it's a great way to be able to show it visually. Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, I couldn't control the audio, so all I could hear was the video. But I seen a lot of smiles, so I'm sure everything's going through really well for that one. Yeah, you're right, Murph. Absolutely. So
go ahead.
So, we encounter that all the time as creators, and that's the important part of growing as an industry, right? Having feedback from the industry of what we need. Remember, we're here to serve you. We are all part of this community. And so as educators, we're here to support each other and provide each other with tools. And there are times where we make mistakes, and that's why we need you as part of this process. I just did one today. I released another, I did a soft release on another one of those Refrigerant Renegades comic books, and really fun, really cute, going through it. And Sam is one of our top YouTube, not critics, he's a reviewer. Sends a message, hey, you got the GWP wrong for R410A, and I went, dyslexia got me again, and I didn't notice it, or my fat finger hit a 1 instead of a 2. And so it's a continual growth, and it's a process for all of us to develop together. One of the things that we are asking of the industry, because we've obviously got at least one tool manufacturer here, wouldn't be surprised if we have some equipment manufacturers on in the background. We're wanting to continue develop and grow this with the use of step files, right? So like when you've seen in there that multimeter, that high definition, we need that kind of content to be able to relay these messages as accurately and clearly as possible. So we're encouraging our industry to work together to share step files that can be used to expand upon this training so that when we're building these and we're releasing them and developing content, it's the highest quality that we can, do. We're not in the business of using step files to create products, to duplicate products. We're in the business of using step files for education so that we can have this content in our classroom. I mean, that was, as I get older, my eyes aren't the best. And so when you can blow up a meter on your big screen to be able to show how things work, I mean, that's an amazing function. So a lot of development in progress here.
Yeah. So, and this is being developed for education. Mm-hmm. This is not being developed for technicians in the field. There is, there is a way to make this a valuable tool for technicians, but we need to make sure that we get everything developed first for education, and then, see what it's going to take for the technician. But education is education. But right now we are designing it, and maybe it's a large school within a school within a large contractor. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is available to them, but for, small contractors, this is not necessarily the correct tool.
The right tool yet.
Yeah. Yet. Yeah.
And, we design all of our shows, all of our podcasts for educators, for you in the audience. And then we have a lot of contractors and technicians that join us. And we're grateful that you're learning and you're experiencing this. And we hope that in this, you'll go, okay, what school in my area is teaching this stuff? Because I want to be a part of it. I want to go join some of these classes and take these deeper dives into it. Because it still takes an educator to deliver the message, right? This is a tool for the classroom. This is an amazing homework assignment. Tomorrow, we're going to dive into whatever. And your homework is to go do this. We already know what you're playing on your phone for probably 5 hours tonight. How about you go spend a half an hour and go through this part? Let's go, if you don't mind sharing, let's go back into the arsenal and show some of the other components that are available already in this package, because there's a lot, and there's some really, really, really cool pieces to dive into. Because remember, this is not just, like right now we're focused on a contactor. There's a variety of different ones. I love the there's a great one. That's one of my favorites.
The reversing valve.
Yeah, we talk about reversing valves. There's some animations out there in the industry, but now you got an animation designed by a technician from our perspective. It's one thing for a concept to be made by someone who has never touched a component versus one that is made by someone who has cut it apart with a Sawzall or with a Dremel and understands it intimately.
Yeah. This got hung up yesterday for me, so I don't know if there's a problem with the reversing valve. I know it did work.
Or even like the heat exchangers are great. I love going through the heat exchangers.
We're going to give this one more shot here.
You bet.
And then it hangs up at 50% there. It did that yesterday for me.
Okay, and let's get reversing. We might have to go through a smaller file too, since we're playing through the video player. That's a really good one. I mean, use that in part of that intro one, just to show people how they're actually laid out. Oh, I didn't use that one. I was going to use that one in this intro video. So when we talk about like capacitors and we talk about the construction of a capacitor, I've cut capacitors open and did videos of stretching out all of our layers to understand what they're made out of. It can be a messy project. I use a can opener to cut mine. So instead of a can opener, how about we have it in our hand and then we can dissect those parts. Yeah. Now, if I'm teaching in a classroom how a capacitor is designed, this is it. How does a capacitor open, right? Yeah. That's something I didn't understand until I went through this video myself. Once I got through this, I completely changed my perspective in capacitor control, because some of the simple functions, like how can one side of a capacitor go bad and not the other?
So we'll just advance this since we can't hear it.
Sure. And so we'll let you explain as we go through how this functions.
Yeah, I'm talking about how the heat builds up, and with heat it expands. The internal pressure will expand, and to prevent catastrophic failure, that pressure, that lid is made just right. It's just going to raise, and it's just going to break the contacts. That's it.
Yep, exactly. You broke up a little bit, probably because I was playing the audio in the background and
Yeah. Yep.
the
So
noise
it's just
cancellation was catching it. But it's a
but
super clear one. Yeah, Hector, you're right. This is not just components that can use HVACR. There's so many electrical items that we can show, mechanical. The potential for this down the road to explain any type of electrical or mechanical component is really what captured our attention, because it's about education, and education is universal. The concept we use in one part can continue over to another one
so
in
here's
another
our
industry.
60% furnace. Now we're going to have this 100% modeled, all the components in one. We'll have the model tree over on the left hand side, and you'll be able to click on the fan limit switch, the fan center. That's another one I get called. A lot of people don't know what a fan center is. I mean,
How it works, what's in this.
Yeah. So, but then let me hit reset on that. But and this is a actual furnace that actually came out of a house, and that's not a wood panel, but they used to design furnaces like a piece of furniture. And
I know this one.
But yeah, so you can see that we have, the heat exchangers done, but we will be able to dissect this 100%. And then, we'll let me back out. Oops, on the wrong X. And then, the heat exchanger, we'll go to this one here.
Yeah, that secondary one's really good too. So the beauty of this is, say I'm a class and I'm going to be teaching a principle or technology, but I don't have that component in my classroom. Instead of having to go source for them and buy them, now we can actually digitally put them in the hands of our students.
And if you're in Florida, there's not many furnaces down there. Depends on what part, but right. There's that transition where you don't see air handlers or you don't see furnaces. And is it advantageous to put these in the lab? That's the decision the administration would have to make. But the point is now that we have a tool in there, so you can see all the parts, what it actually looks like. And then also, we can play the video here, and with the how to service the heat exchanger, put a plug in for Sauerman. So
absolutely, thank you for those files.
Yep, yeah, and this, if there's any manufacturers out there, Sauerman, UAI, they have given us their step files, and this is what we can do with it. All the parts right now, we are, micing the parts ourselves and modeling them ourselves. So if we can get these parts, we're talking to ductless manufacturers right now, and hopefully we will get their step files, and it just make the process so much more smoothly.
Yeah, and that gives the opportunity to get that education out to the industry faster. If we take a new product, somebody has a new product that is different than a previous one, what better way to show how it actually works than put it in front of the hands of an educator with all of the components, so we can actually see how the thing is actually different.
And there's your heat exchanger in your kitchen.
Yeah, look at that gamification right there, buddy.
I've talked about that one also. So, but yeah. Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
It absolutely is. I'm gonna go ahead and play that new video. You just released one while you're loading that up.
Yeah, so we're talking about, and this is the other business. So HVAC Simulator, we're talking about mistakes, and I just released this on Facebook. Let's see who can catch the mistake.
Okay, everybody ready? Here we go. Watch close.
Hey everyone, Dirk Nauman here from HVAC Simulator. We're thrilled to announce the launch of our new heat pump simulator. This thing is really awesome. Building on the success of our desktop simulator, this new tool will transform how HVAC classrooms teach electrical fundamentals for heat pumps. It's a highly effective way to teach schematic reading, sequence of operation, potential difference, meter functionality, and how it all comes together in the diagnostic process. The simulator fosters a truly interactive learning environment, with every student facing the same challenge and faults, all within a safe and controlled setting. Plus, our dynamic animations accelerate learning and boost comprehension far beyond traditional methods. Our material integrates effortlessly into any existing curriculum, reinforcing core textbook concepts. Interested in learning more? Please contact us now. Thank you.
All right, no it. Oops.
I caught it. Oh, I got to switch cameras to get us back in here.
There you go.
Anybody catch that? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah. So we're also releasing the Comfort Cooling app, or the Comfort Cooling Simulator on an app. So HVAC Sim, and I created that kind of like that app. I created it last second for the symposium, and also redesigned a little bit for the HVAC Excellence. But now we're taking the Comfort Cooling Simulator, and this is going to be a really great learning tool. It has a whole field piece schematic, or the whole layout in there. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, let's go back. I learned best hands-on. All right. If you can deploy the probes and instruments, and you can teach how to do that safely, you are a pro at the refrigeration side of this industry.
Absolutely.
What's left is the data, how to interpret the data. And that's what this whole Comfort Cooling Simulator is. All right, Tony. Tony got it.
Good job, Mr. Gonzalez. Sharp on that eyeball today. Yes.
Yep. So, but nope, just spelling.
Just the spelling.
But yeah, so everybody, you know, whoever's watching this, you know, if you want to, you know, get a, you know, to the HVAC Sim app, download it and let me know. I'm looking for people to test out the HVAC or the Comfort Cooling Simulator on the app, and, you know, the book's going to be available. It's much better if you have the book, people. So training, you know, the old analogy, if you, by Drucker, Peter Drucker, if you think training is expensive, try ignorance. We need to spend a little money. And I always compare it to, in the classroom, to the people who smoke and drink. How much is that weekend going to cost? You know, it's going to be expensive, but we still do it. But as I tell everybody, or dinner, let's use dinner. Let's stay with a, you know, nice steak dinner with your girlfriend or your wife. What's that going to cost? I don't think you can get out of a restaurant now for $150.
Yeah, high end. Yeah, absolutely. Good restaurant.
Yeah. So with that is for $50, you learn the refrigeration to become more valuable, and, you know, you can buy more steak dinners now. But yeah, get the book. It's published by ESCO Institute, and that is being released on May 20th.
Tell everyone a little bit more about HVAC Simulator while we're here, because, you know, this is the whole Visual 3D is one tool for the classroom. There's probably many of our educators out here that are not familiar yet with the HVAC Simulator. That video is, you know, a prelude into a new product. Tell us a little bit about HVAC Simulator and those resources for the classroom as well.
Yeah. So my buddy, I think he should be on here, Andy. I'll call him out. I'm calling everyone else out, but I created it for Andy. Andy was in the construction field. I'm waiting to see if he's watching.
Andy Nelson?
Yeah. Is he there?
Yeah, he was earlier.
There he is.
We'll see if he's still here with us.
So, but I created he was in the construction industry in the Peoria, Illinois, and construction was kind of going south with the whole Caterpillar movement moving out. And so with that, I told him, come on over to the HVAC side. He's like, I don't know anything about HVAC. So I created this HVAC simulator just to speed him up. I was trying to get him out of installs and get him into service, get the windshield time, because he is my age. And, I got the respect. The most respect there's for installers and for business owners in this industry, because I think those are the two hardest jobs in the industry. And so, but I created this simulator to teach him the electrical diagnostic process. And so it was done with a PLC. I did a lot of PLC ladder logic, and then it got loaned out. Hey, can I have my Can I have it back?
When's it coming back to me?
Oh, you can't. So I started creating the second prototype, and then the third prototype. The third prototype got shipped all over North America, Canada, and US. I found out that the customs and what it's like to go through customs with a product with a bunch of wires. It was kind of interesting. And so, but with that, I just, it's a good product. People learn from it, and we formed a business out of it, and it's been, fairly successful. And, which led into visual 3D. And, Clifton, I shared the other book with you. If you can throw that other image up of that book, and I live by this book, and Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. If you're in business, if you're a content creator or whatever you're doing, don't think, or you think about you're going into business, don't think about how you're going to do everything. Surround yourself with people who know how to do it. And that's what this book is about. One of the exercises that, Dan Sullivan, I don't know if it's in the book or if it was on one of his podcasts, but, he has you go to a board and you do a mental dump of everything on your brain. When you start procrastinating, it means because you got too much on your brain. And you just don't, your brain does, you got to do this and you do a little bit here, a little bit there, and you don't get anything done. It's a wasted day. So go to the whiteboard and do a mental dump, and then categorize the 20% that you like to do, and that other 80%, shift it out to somebody else. Get someone, find the who to take care of that other 80%. And, and therefore you're always going to love your job. And so, and
that's a great perspective.
Yeah. And that's what I've been doing. And that's how we've gotten up to, not everyone's full time. Not everyone's putting 80 hours in a week like I am, but I'm enjoying it. This is fun. This is great. I'm having fun doing it.
Could you possibly pull up some of the pictures of the HVAC simulator? One of the comments that just came in from Lacey. Lacey, glad you're joining us this week. It is a fantastic tool to have in the classroom. There's a few versions now. And like I said, it was really what developed and built this entire process of diving deeper into curriculum. Everything that we're working on here together is to bring better curriculum to you. And Brian, you're exactly right. That's why we do this. Our fundamental principle here at ESCO is to provide affordable solutions for educators, and partnering with Visual 3D and with HVAC Simulator allows us to do that. It allows us to get products in your hands and education in your hands that will be extremely beneficial and at very realistic prices.
All right, you want to see the prototype?
Yeah, see what we got here.
So prototype 1.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes left. People are probably very interested in where it started and where it's going.
There's prototype 1.
Yeah, hard to sell that as a package.
Yeah, you can see it's on plexiglass, wood, and dowel rods, and that's the one I couldn't get back.
Yeah,
and then and then I had this great idea that it would be really awesome to put a lot of voltage in a metal cabinet. But yeah, don't ask. So then this was so I was trying to daisy chain them with some logic. And so that was prototype number 2. And then prototype number 3. And it's jumping around too quick. 3, prototype 2. There it is, 3. And then this was the only picture. This is in Iowa. This is the only picture where all 5 of them were together with technicians. You can see the mask on. So this is, who starts a company during COVID, right? But that's just the way it played out. Here's my son playing around with it. And then, but the pictures, I absolutely, where's my server at? Simulators, desktops, and version 3 images. Oops, those are, let me go to version 1 here. Give me a second right here. Images. Oh no. That's all right.
Gets people an idea of what it actually looks like. How can people connect with you about HVAC Simulator as well?
Yeah, go to HVACsimulator.com. Or you can email me at Dirk, D-I-R-K, at HVACsimulator.com. That is my direct email. Here we go. All right. So here's a classroom. I got it now. So typically 3 students is max. And the this is distributor training. This is a student classroom in Iowa. Distributor training. This is Illinois Central College. This is the old Illinois Central College. So, but yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's it. We're right at the top of the hour. Anybody have any final questions before we wrap things up? That's a lot of phenomenal information, a lot of resources, a lot of great pointers and tips along the way. We're so grateful, Dirk, that you've had the chance to join us today, hang out for a little while, dive deeper into, new technologies and innovations for the classroom so we can help stay up to date. Now, what's next on the horizon?
I only have had 2 people from this podcast fill out the free trial.
Oh, well, go get that free trial, everyone.
What the heck?
Oh, they'll come back later.
You don't need to be an educator to get the free trial.
There you go. So I encourage all of you to go check that out. Dirk, thank you so much for joining us today.
And Clifton, thank you for what you do for the industry.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. You get to show the new things that are coming to our industry, help explain them, and provide solutions for everyone's problems. It's a dream job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to hanging out more. We encourage all of you to come join us at the National HVACR Education Conference. We officially sold out on exhibitors today, just a very short time into the open exhibit opportunities, and those are all full. So it is going to be a packed, crazy conference. As Valdo, I encourage you to go check that out. And Lacey,
Visual
that
3D will be there. HVAC Simulator will be there. So we will definitely have a booth, and I'm hoping to have some Apple Vision glasses there.
That'd be fun.
It will be.
All right, I'll put that caption one more time. Go over to visual3dacademy.com. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate everything. We will see you all next week. I think next week I'm going to run with the show, and I'm going to start diving deeper into A2L mitigation sensors, how they're designed, what the different technologies are, how the things actually work. So we're going to let the smoke out of the technology without actually letting the smoke out.
I can do that.
Let's do that. Everyone have a wonderful week. We'll see you then on Did You Know? The
Thank you.
HVAC show. Thank you, my friend.